Pop-up headlights weren't just headlights. They were a moment. You'd flick a switch and suddenly boom, your car winked to life. It was like the vehicle had a personality. A little spark of mischief hiding under the hood. From Mazda to Ferrari, from Corvette to even the modest Toyota MR2, everyone wanted that touch of drama. Because pop-up headlights weren't just about lighting the road ahead. They were about making an entrance. They gave cars a soul. A sense of showmanship that made every night drive feel cinematic. But oh, they were divas. Half the time, one headlight would get stuck halfway up, leaving your car looking like it just heard some bad news. They added aerodynamic drag. They broke constantly. And in cold weather, well, they hated that. Sometimes you'd hit the switch and nothing would happen. Just the sad hum of a frozen motor refusing to perform. Still, for all their quirks and flaws, pop-up headlights had something cars today just don't. In the 1950s, America wasn't just dreaming about the future, it was designing it. Jet planes ruled the skies, rockets were blasting off, and car designers wanted a piece of that magic on the road. Cadillac led the charge, turning cars into rolling rockets. By 1959, the Cadillac Eldorado's tail fins had grown so tall and sharp, they could practically cut through clouds. It wasn't just transportation anymore, it was the American dream on wheels. The rule was simple: the bigger the fins, the more futuristic your car looked. Function didn't matter if fashion did. These chrome-plated wings didn't make your car faster. And at high speeds, they sometimes made it less stable. But nobody cared. Because tail fins made you feel like you were piloting a jet. They were bold. They were excessive. And they were absolutely unforgettable. The 1950s had a flair for excess, and nothing proved that quite like the Continental kit. You've seen it, that big, bulging bump on the trunk, pretending to house a spare tire. In truth, it was pure showmanship. Ford and Lincoln made them famous. The message was clear. This wasn't just transportation, it was a statement. That rear bulge whispered, "This car costs more than your house." The problem? It was a logistical disaster. It added weight, destroyed aerodynamics. They swung backward, opened wide, and looked amazing. Suicide doors were elegance with a dash of danger. The Lincoln Continental made them famous. Rolls-Royce turned them into royalty. When you opened those doors, it wasn't just an exit, it was a grand reveal. You didn't step out of the car. You arrived. But there was a catch, and it was deadly serious. If you didn't close them properly, wind pressure could yank them open mid-drive. Fender skirts, the aerodynamic nightmare. In the pursuit of sleekness, the 1950s gave us fender skirts. Curved panels that covered the rear wheels and made cars look like rolling cigars. Cadillac loved them. Buick adored them. Mercury made them iconic. They added a touch of futuristic smoothness. A streamlined illusion that screamed sophistication. But here's the truth. They were a mechanic's nightmare. Want to change a tire? Good luck. You had to remove the skirt and screw half the trim. Chrome overload, when shiny meant rich. The 1950s had one rule: if it's metal, make it shine. Chrome became the symbol of success, and Detroit went wild with it. Grilles, bumpers, dashboards, radios, everything was dipped in mirror finish. Cars glistened like disco balls under the sun. The problem? Sunlight. Drivers complained of glare burns and blinding reflections bouncing off every surface. But the pain was worth the prestige of chrome meant you'd made it. It wasn't just decoration. It was identity. Your car didn't just sparkle, it announced your arrival from a block away. Hood ornaments, luxury targets. There was a time when a car wasn't complete without jewelry. The hood ornament was the crown. Rolls-Royce had the spirit of ecstasy. Jaguar had its leaping cat. And Cadillac flaunted its crest like royal armor. They represented prestige, craftsmanship, and power. And fortunately, they also represented temptation for thieves. One twist, one tug, and your $1,000 mascot was gone. Then came pedestrian safety laws, and that was the final curtain call. But for decades, these ornaments turned cars into art. Small sculptures leading the charge through wind and time. Hidden gas caps, the peekaboo refuel game. The 1960s loved clever tricks. And one of the coolest or most confusing was the hidden gas cap. Cadillac, Chevy, and even Buick hid fuel fillers behind taillights, under license plates, or behind secret panels. It looked futuristic and clean, no ugly gas cap interrupting those perfect lines. Until the owner forgot where it was. Picture this, a proud driver at a gas station, poking every crevice. Push-button transmissions, because simplicity was boring. The mid-1950s wanted the future now, and Chrysler gave it to us. A transmission controlled by buttons instead of a gear lever. It looked space-age sleek and modern, like driving a spaceship to work. Until it broke. Which, spoiler alert, was often. Buttons jammed, electrical connections failed. Curb feelers, the car's metal whiskers. Before parking sensors, there were curb feelers. Thin metal wires that stuck out from your bumper and scraped when you got too close to the curb. They made a zzz noise that told drivers, stop. That's close enough. They were meant to save your white wall tires from scuffs, but mostly just embarrassed you in public. Swiveling seats, because exiting gracefully was a challenge. Back in the 1950s and 60s, luxury was all about effortless living. And nothing said effortless like a seat that helped you step out in style. Buick, Chrysler, and Oldsmobile gave us swiveling seats, a clever idea, where your seat literally turned toward the door, inviting you to exit like a movie star stepping off a private jet. It was smooth, elegant, and surprisingly practical, until it wasn't. Over time, those fancy mechanisms jammed, squeaked, or refused to budge. Sometimes they locked halfway, leaving drivers twisted like contortionists mid-turn. It went from luxury feature to medieval exercise device faster than you could say upholstery damage. Opera windows, the tiny portal to nowhere. The 1970s loved drama and few design touches captured that mood. Like opera windows, both small, round or oval portholes on massive car roofs weren't about visibility or ventilation. They were about status. Lincoln, Cadillac, and Chrysler turned them into a statement. You're not driving, you're being chauffeured. Passengers in the back seat couldn't really see much out of them, but they didn't need to. They just needed to be seen. Fold-down tailgates with seats, the picnic wagon. Before SUVs ruled the road, there were station wagons. And they came with one of the most charming features ever. Fold-down tailgates that doubled as picnic benches. In the 1960s and 70s, families would drive to the park, open the back, and sit side by side eating sandwiches while watching the sunset. Drive-in theaters, fishing trips, fireworks. That tailgate was the heart of American leisure. Of course, it wasn't perfect. The metal seats rusted, the hinges jammed, and if you weren't careful, your fingers might meet the laws of physics in the worst way. Retractable rear windows, rain's best friend. In 1963, Mercury decided fresh air should come from every direction. Enter the Mercury Breezeway, the car with a rear window that rolled down. The idea was genius on paper. Better airflow, cooler cabins, a breeze without the buffeting. Until it rained. Owners quickly discovered that the Breezeway name was a bit too literal. Water poured in, seats got soaked, and the smell of damp upholstery became standard equipment. Automatic seatbelts, the hug you never wanted. Oh, the 1980s, when car safety met awkward automation. Automatic seatbelts were supposed to make life easier. Instead, they made it weirder. These belts slid along the door frame when you started the car, wrapping around your shoulder like a clingy robot giving you a slow-motion hug. At first, it felt futuristic look, no hands. Then it became a nightmare. They broke constantly, trapping people in or refusing to move at all. Dashboard clocks, the eternal time liars. Every luxury car worth its chrome had one, the dashboard clock. Cadillac, Mercedes, Rolls-Royce all proudly installed them, ticking away in elegance. They looked fantastic, fine details, gold accents, smooth ticking hands. They also lied, constantly. No matter how fancy the car, the clock would drift minutes, sometimes hours off schedule within days. Drivers spent more time adjusting than driving. But here's the thing, nobody really cared. That little clock wasn't about accuracy. It was about ambience. Car phones, the original flex. Long before Bluetooth, Before smartphones, there was the car phone. A gleaming handset mounted to your dashboard, the ultimate status symbol. If you had one in the 1970s or 80s, it meant one thing: money. You were someone important, someone who made calls on the go. Except, most of the time, you didn't. Coverage was terrible, connections dropped constantly, and the bills were outrageous. Power antennas, the drama of elevation. You'd press a button, and your antenna would slowly rise, slicing through the air like a sword. It was unnecessary, it was over-engineered, and it was glorious. Power antennas gave even the most ordinary cars a sense of ceremony. Ashtrays everywhere, the smoky era. There was a time when everyone smoked, even your car. In the 50s and 60s, ashtrays weren't accessories. They were everywhere. In the dashboard, the doors, even the back seats of some cars had 4 or 5 of them, complete with chrome lids and built-in lighters. It was less about health, more about habit. Family road trips came with a haze of cigarette smoke and the clink of ashtrays. Vinyl roofs, the great pretender. They weren't convertibles. They just wanted to be. The vinyl roof was Detroit's illusion of luxury. The thin, textured wrap meant to make hardtops look soft, elegant, and expensive. For about a year, it worked beautifully. Then came the cracks. Sunlight peeled the vinyl. Rainwater crept underneath. And what once looked like $1 million started bubbling like bad wallpaper. But oh, when knew those cars looked divine. Glossy paint below, rich vinyl above, chrome trim separating the two like a tuxedo line.